Hello, good evening, welcome. It's Friday evening, another show on Upstreamedia. I'm Chris Hughes of Rebound. Tonight I've got director James Thomson of T-Side Lines on the show. Really excited to have him on, talk all things T-Side Lines, and it's going to be a great show. Welcome, James. I hope you're well.
Very good, thanks. Thank you for having me on here.
That's all right. Say it's great to have this opportunity from Upstreamedia to come on talk basketball. From a quick look at your site, learn a bit about the club, it's great to learn a bit more. And so just before we came on the show, James shows all the little marketing things he's got with the mug. You see the jersey behind him. We'll delve all into that in good time. There's lots of really good things in the show. But I thought for people coming to the show, they might not know too much about T-Side Lions. I was wondering maybe give us a little history of the club, where it started, and a little bit about the journey today.
Okay, yes. I suppose the club started. I mean, if we go way back, I had a little car accident in 2002, and took about 5 years out of the game. Prior to the accident, I was playing at a fairly high level and coaching. My job was a community coach. So I had about 5 years absence, and then getting back into the swing of things, I kind of I set up the Lions brand, if you like, and we started to develop players and attract players. I've always been fairly good at marketing and PR, so we had quite an attractive place that people wanted to play for, and that just organically grew. Really, it snowballed, if anything. We had a small stint of National League men's basketball. I mean, probably from around about 2009, 2010 to around about 2013. Had a really successful year in our second year. Brought over some great players. Did really well. Got promoted from the old Division 4. Things were looking up, but there was just, I suppose there was things out of our control that were having a negative impact on the club and its development. So we decided to scrap the National League program, the men's program, and concentrate on the grassroots. So after taking away the cost and the energy and all of the efforts that needed to be put into a senior National League team, and spending time on the local league development and the junior development, the community aspect, it was quite refreshing, really. I think what we did last time was we did it the wrong way around. We started the National League club, and we had a few community sessions around us, but we this time, after about 3 or 4 years of a full focus on junior development, we're at a stage now where we have around about 180 members in the club that enjoy basketball, that are our players. They're not players from other clubs that we've tried to bring in. They are developed in an organic way. They're our babies, and they enjoy basketball. So now that we've put the senior National League team together, this was last year, so it's only been going for a year. There's a real buzz around the place, and the foundation, the strong foundation of junior players and their families and friends are the core of the supporters that come to watch the senior players.
That's really interesting to say. It definitely does see a buzz coming from your club in terms of having that path for the juniors. You see quite a big backing, and I'm sure there's lots of people watching. So if there's anyone watching that wants to ask James a question about the club or about something they want to ask or find out, just ask a question. We'll answer some of those in today's show. So I hear that you got quite a big backing on the game day. How did that all grow? To say it's gone from, you must go on a journey to attract the bigger crowds you got now. And what was the sort of moment where you realised what you guys were doing was right? You said you tried one way, but you tried a different way. When was that sort of light bulb moment where you realised you wanted something good?
I don't think it was a light bulb moment. I always knew that I mean, previously when we did this 2009, 10, 11, 12, we were attracting pretty good crowds then. When we had the what was then Middlesbrough Lions versus Rosendale Raptors, we were getting 500 people watching the game, and it was a great atmosphere. The whole, there was a buzz about the place. So I think you need to have the ingredients. You can't. I remember seeing somebody. There was It wasn't a complaint as such, but it was more they were upset that they couldn't get more people to watch a high level game between two top sides in a certain area, and this was National League level. And I just think that it was looking from the outside. It's hard to put on an event in a sports hall. You need to have that spectator seating. You need to have for me, it's the game is less important than the actual event. So people that are coming to watch basketball, especially our basketball, are not basketball fans. They're new converts. So we're attracting people to come and watch an event and be entertained for 2.5 hours. So the basketball is just coincidental. That's the vehicle that we're using to attract those people. What we have to do is put on an event, and not necessarily in terms of on-court action, but we have quite an exciting introduction scene. So we have the music and the lights go out, and we have different spotlights that will create a kind of light show. And the feedback from people is, that they get goosebumps and the hairs stand up on the back of their necks. They feel like it's an NBA game. So you're creating that sense of excitement and entertainment, and the level of basketball is irrelevant. The people that come to watch our games have no interest in NBL 4, NBL 3, NBL 1, or BBL, or even NBA. The majority have come into they've been attracted to watch an event, and they like what we do, and they come back. And over time, we tend to educate them into becoming basketball fans. So I would say, I mean, I get quite a few people that I think look at our club, and we have quite a strong brand, and obviously there's the successful junior program that's attached to it. And quite a few people are asking for advice on how they would do things and how they set things up. And I'm always happy to do so. And for anyone else that is interested, I'm always happy to do so. You learn a lot through other people's experiences, and even for your own production. I was speaking to Rupert about his streaming and how we're trying to progress that. So if we can learn from other people's mistakes and developments and progress, then that's the best way to do it. So if we can do the same, we're more than happy to. But in terms of the development, you need to have all the ingredients. If you set up a National League team and you don't have the branding, if you don't have the event, what are people going to watch? If they're not basketball people, they're not necessarily going to come. It's like watching a tennis match. They're watching just from side to side, unsure of what's going on. So you need to put on an event, excite them, and then gradually, turn them into basketball fans.
Definitely some really good points. So like to myself, thinking about really good games I enjoyed, and quite often, like you say, it's a bit outside the basketball, but rich things. I think everyone, they say the Melody fans are going to watch it, but they know what they don't watch. They know they don't watch basketball games, so you kind of want to give a bit more, because they don't even think I'm just going to watch a game of basketball. If you give a good game where fans, there's atmosphere there, there's some lighting going on, or an event off court, I think it definitely adds to the spectacle. And I think a few times I've been to the final games you have that, and I think it really helps the game. So it sounds like you guys are doing really well with that. I kind of want to move a bit towards the brand, and obviously people watching to see you've got your shirts there as some of your warm-up tops. I wonder if you could introduce them, break it down, sort of give us a close-up of the sort of what motivates you to get all these stuff done. So it takes a lot of, yes, it's great to put the branding on, but obviously there's challenges to making the brand. It's not just wave of magic wand, to say. It's a lot of hard
No,
work must go into making them.
it's yes. I mean, I before I sorry, you've just reminded me of your other question. I think I went off on a tangent. You asked about a
Right?
light bulb moment.
Yes.
So if we can park that question because I did want to
Yeah.
mention, uh, we had proven in the past that we were able to attract crowds. There were factors I think locally that made me just decide I didn't want to do that. At the time, I was pretty much doing the whole thing myself. I was that advert that was on TV where that one individual was the receptionist and the managing director and the cleaner and the every other job you could think of, as well as playing and coaching. It wasn't. It was too much. It was okay when it was working, but in terms of things like we would spend a lot of energy bringing over a player that was desperate to play for us. I remember there's one player that well, he'd contacted us. Most of the players that we bring in, they contact us, they stumble across us, they like what they see, and they want to join us. And this one player had come from Portugal, and for 2 years he was talking to me about wanting to come over here, relocate, move his family. And I'd said, the one thing I pride ourselves on is just we're very honest and genuine. So I'd rather under promise and over deliver than the other way around, which is I think prevalent in basketball in well probably around the world, but definitely in the UK. So I don't want to be linked to one of those people that just promises gold and delivers sand. And it just after 2 years of talking to this player, and then the player came over, and it's a fantastic player. I mean, incredible. And we did a lot to help him, and then just poached from another team, and you just think, well, what's the point of doing that? It might as well put my time and energy into the people that would appreciate it, and that's where we went and switched direction of focus into the juniors. So since then, I don't really have the motivation or the inclination to set up another senior men's team. And I suppose not the light bulb, but the catalyst that came about, that when we started talking about it, I thought, this person's rejuvenated me, and now not doing it alone, um, it really did. Well, we've very quickly got to where we are now on the back of this person, and that was my partner Martin Anderson. And Martin, he brought his son along to a basketball session, enjoyed what he saw, and just quickly got involved in the club. At the time, I didn't know that he was a businessman, let alone a prominent businessman in the area. He has a large company called Lemon Business Solutions, and it's an inbound call management center. Now they have over 100 staff, so he's got quite a large job on his hands in his normal day job, and for him to take an interest in the basketball and the project. And when we started talking, I think he was the one that first started dropping the interest, really, the potential. We took him to a local league final. He wanted to come and see a game, and we took him to a local league final, and in the Durham League, and he came along to watch it, and he just was sat in the crowd, and there was quite a few Lions friends and family there watching the games, and I think he just saw the potential of doing something. And I think when he did his research and saw what we'd done before, he felt that there was real potential, not only in developing the senior men's national league team, but also expanding the community sessions and running this properly. So he is the one person, not the shining light or the light bulb, but I suppose the catalyst that really kind of come along and said, let's do this, and if we're going to do it, let's do it properly. So yeah, I'd say Martin's been the key factor.
It's good to have some of that passion, and definitely there's a lot of untapped potential in British basketball. Say for myself, I came into this as a fan, no basketball experience before, went to watch the game, enjoyed it, and I got a bit frustrated. There was lack of news or content out there. Then all
Yeah.
of a sudden, my interest has blossomed. And I think seeing what your brand and what you've got together to see that people, the local community really buy it. And I think that's really important to have a club there. People can really buy into the idea quickly. I say we don't talk a bit about how you recruit a really good head coach and probably someone who brought a lot of media coverage to your doors and buzz. But I really like that idea. But it's definitely seems that you guys got the appeal. I think obviously I know you guys got ambitions to be BBL one year, and I think actually you guys have potential to make it work because you, like you say, it's not just at the bar, it's like the all-round appeal. And I think it was a shame about what happened to London City Royals, but hopefully you guys, if you can make it BBL, you make it more of a attractive proposition at other clubs, and hopefully build again.
I think on the subject of the BBL, because I know that there was interest in when we unveiled Mark, there was interest in why would at the time the current head coach of the BBL, albeit interim coach, why would that person come to a Division 3 North basketball team? And our project is an ambitious one. Last year, we announced plans to bring professional basketball to this area. We had support from the Mayor of Middlesbrough, Andy Preston. The last season, we developed the off-court product. We spent quite a lot of money investing into the arena. So we have a really good facility with Eston Leisure Centre and the centre manager there, Angie McGee. And, they're a fantastic facility. I've known them for a while. And they've really bought into what we want to do. So they've allowed us to brand our own cafe and brand our media wall and brand the arena so that it looks professional. So you need all of these ingredients to make the product. But you mentioned about the fact that there's very little media coverage, and that is just, it's essential. 2008, I set up a schools league and a college league in this area. We had 19 secondary schools involved in the schools league, and we developed the next year we put together the college league, and there was 10 colleges in this area, and it was mainly about recreation. But what I would try and do is build a website and have a Sky Sports themed product where people can go onto the website and they can follow the latest news. And the result and the impact was brilliant. I always remember there was two teachers and their feedback just stuck out with me. One was a guy from Blakeston School, which is no longer there, but he'd said that the hierarchy of sports was always football, rugby, cricket, and with the promotion and their entering of the Tees Schools Basketball League, because of the amount of coverage in the newspapers and the local media and the website and the top scorers and the video of the week and photos of players, he said that they had players' grandmas that were coming to watch the games in the school sports hall, and within the space of 4 months, the priority for sports was now basketball, football, rugby, and cricket. And we had a website. It was called Game Time at the time. We had a website, and this website was attracting 300,000 hits every month. Just in terms of the basketball that we were doing. So the demand is there and the potential is there. But if you have a product and you don't record it or you don't capture it in some way for people to see, then it is almost like it never happened. So when you have this product, you have to video it, you have to record it, you have to photograph it, then you have to promote it on media. And that does take an element of buy-in from the local press and media outlets. And column inches is now shorter than ever. And you also, I suppose, need to have the skills. You need to make it as easy as possible for these people to print, because sports departments now are usually a cupboard with one person. They don't have the full news teams that they used to have. So you have to almost do the work for them in a professional way that sounds interesting, that sounds exciting, that reads in that way, and then it's promoted. So yeah, we've been fortunate in the way that we have many of the skill sets in place that have allowed us to do that. Um, and then you wanted a tour of the kits. Um,
Yes. Does it?
so
You
yeah, behind me, sorry, yeah,
carry on.
behind me we have the. Am I okay?
Yeah, yeah, carry on.
Okay, so behind me we have the home kit. We have two kits, which is the home kit is the red and black, which is our brand, if you like, and we have a secondary kit, which is a blue kit, like a royal blue and black kit. Both very popular color schemes. There is so I designed this, and I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, which is an illness. It's you can spend I spent months on this, and when you send it off to the designers, excuse me, they'll come back, and it just won't be right. I remember one time we had a funny story where on the back of the shirt they'd put T side with one S. So I said no. I said it's T side, and they still didn't get it. So I and it was our manufacturer's in Spain, so obviously there's a language barrier. Um, so I wrote underneath T side should have one S with an arrow where it should go, and when it came back, it actually had T side with one S on the back,
Yeah.
and underneath they had put in place T side with one S. So they'd actually put that into the design. Um, but we overcame all of that, and the product I think is well, it's close. It's exactly what we wanted. Um, so yeah, we have the home kit, the red kit. The directly behind me, if I shift out the way, is the shooting shirt, the warm up shirts.
Yep.
Now we didn't. Our first order, you might be surprised, but our first order for this kit bundle for the club was that was around about £13,000. And that was the cost. That wasn't the sale price. That was the cost price of what we had to buy in um, for the players and the people that had bought them. And we sell items. We've sold to Australia, New Zealand, and America. Um, so we do. There's a lot of interest in the items. We do have quite a lot of people that keep in touch and follow us from around the world. And we sell quite a lot. I think that the feedback from the product is that they're very good. I think what we need to do, because I get quite excited, is we need to stop creating so much, because in terms of ordering and stock, it just creates a little bit of a it's a nightmare really. Um, so if I was to give advice to anybody, I would say just don't get too much. I mean, in terms of our stock, we have the polo shirts, the shooting shirts, we have the home kit, the away kit, we have two training uniforms which are reversible. We have a towel. Uh, yeah, and we have a few other t-shirt designs and things like that. And it's just there's a little bit too much really. It's hard to keep track. And then when you're selling these items, um, it's again hard to not hard to place the order, but it's hard to take on board, you know, elements of stock in such quantities when you have so many. So I would say just calm down and learn from my mistake.
Definitely, I think everyone makes mistakes in terms of production and the passion, the sort of show. So you made some really good points. Just I think when I got into watching basketball, I go to watch a few clubs. So I thought, oh, did they have merchandise, or maybe the event outside the basketball wasn't fair. But there are a lot of challenges. I like what you say about like I don't think people realise like if you get a jersey, you've got to spend quite a lot of money to get the jersey. Now, I know I've asked a few clubs, oh, go get a jersey, that fans want, because I think if you've got fans buying a jersey, then they'll wear it when out and about in the shops or down the park or that beach, and it's apologies, I try fight. It's almost free advertising. I've had a quick look at
That's
your
it.
top. they look really good, and I'll definitely get one myself. They look really good to wear, um, and it's great to hear. You definitely got your passion there, and it sounds like I imagine I'd be really excited if I take watch the game. Imagine there's lots of stuff on sale for the fans to buy, and the whole package sounds really good. And it's great to talk about that because usually I've had players on or coaches on, and it's a different perspective. So I've really enjoyed chatting to someone about that because I say I've always got ideas. I'm like, oh, let's do that, let's do that. But then it's like you realise like a lot of these clubs they rely on volunteers, so the amount of money you have,
Yes,
it's hard. There's a lot of constraints,
I think
but
absolutely. I think that one of the, I mean, we were. I think this is where building from the foundation up is important because we had so many people within the club that were ordering kit. We were able to get, a bulk order discount that allowed us to charge a reasonable price to allow us to sell items to the public. So if you have a small team, even if it's just a National League men's team, it would be very difficult for them to sell kit if there's only 3 or 4 people wanting to buy them. I mean, we've sold, I don't even know how much it would be, but literally hundreds of different items we've sold. I mean, I'm a by nature I'm a problem solver. I'm a strategist. So if you give me a problem, I find the solution. And one of the solutions I thought of is that in terms of selling jerseys, there are not. It's not if people buy a football kit, they can wear it wherever they want. But if you don't have the body shape that you would feel comfortable wearing a jersey, or if it's cold outside or raining, or it's just a little bit murky, you might not want to wear that jersey. So we actually developed what we call a jersey tee. So and this is, I'll try and show you here,
yeah,
but
a
it's
bit more to your
basically
right.
a little to the right.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so this is the jersey tee. So it's basically the actual Lions jersey, game jersey, but imposed onto a t-shirt. So you've got the
Yeah.
sleeves, and effectively you can. I mean, this one's still got the tags on, but effectively you can wear these around the town as a t-shirt, and it's still, like you say, it's marketing. It's promoting the club. We get so many people. We did a little feature on social media. Oh, I can't remember what we called it now, but it was something to do with sharing your holiday pics and seeing Lions merchandise being worn by people on their holiday, whether it's home or abroad. Just seeing those pictures, and the amount of people that had said that Americans or Canadians or people in different areas of the world that were saying, "Oh, where's the team? Really like the uniform." So yeah, we're really proud of the brand, and happy to do so. But I would say that I don't think it would be harsh to be judgmental on other clubs because they might not be in the situation where they can afford to, or they might not have the numbers that would allow them to be able to do it.
Of course, yeah. I didn't want any more points being misconstrued to say the more I've done, Reba, the more I've known, but there's so many more constraints. I think it's quite easy if you're new to sport to have all these grandeur ideas, but it takes the resources, it also takes the manpower, and it also takes time, which unfortunately not many people actually have. And um, I've learned a lot since doing rebound, but like maybe the assistant coach does social media or the chairman puts the chairs out. So the more I've
Mm.
done rebound, less I've expected of others because I know it's a hard job and hats off to everyone involved. And it's kind of what motivates me to do what I'm doing because I feel really chuffed and proud of all the guys doing the hard work. I know in the midst of all that, you sort of alluded to read the point. I'd love to talk to you a bit more about this, but maybe there's some elements of people surprised with the signing of Mark. But I think I hope people watching this show today will get a better glimpse. I think sometimes you don't really get the real glimpse of what's going on at basketball. I think actually it sounds like you guys got the guys coming in, the supporters. You've got a good brand, and obviously got ambitions to match. So from my perspective, yes, it's a slight surprise. But actually, there's a lot of things in play. I was wondering what other factors you thought were in play at Teesside Lions that maybe we haven't mentioned so far, but have made it an attractive proposition, but it is.
For Mark to come.
Pardon, sorry?
Was that what other factors were attractive for Mark to come
Maybe not just Mark, but maybe as a club to say
in
it.
general?
What's in general, yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe if I if I can think about general, but if I talk about Mark maybe,
Yeah, you start with Mark if you want to,
I,
yeah.
I rem yeah, I mean I remember that there was some obviously there was a lot of interest and debate when we announced the unveiling, and shows like yourself, I think were supporting it and promoting it, um, and then there was a lot of comment on the club and Mark and what everything else we were doing. So it opened up debate, which is what we wanted. Um, we wanted to announce something in a way. We wanted to part of the thing was we wanted to just give a little gift to the people within the club during the coronavirus. Our club effectively has shut down. It's been on pause since lockdown. And then we have all of these children that are wanting to play basketball. Now I know, to give you an idea, we one session on a Thursday night we can get anywhere up to 95 children in 1 hour, and I know the difference that disruption can make on 2 sessions. So I was really concerned about the disruption that 3-4 months would have on children, and where would we be as a club in when it's time to return? Because it's not just about switching the lights back on. We have training 6 days a week, 7 days a week toward the end of the season, and we have a lot of facility hire that we've been able to do with the gradual development of the club. If those numbers are affected, and they will be affected, I think initially, there will be some gradual, slow process into returning. And how is that going to affect us as a club? We don't know how that's going to affect us, but it is going to, it was a concern. I think that the interest from the parents and the children during lockdown has been phenomenal. I think they're, rather than we're risking losing them, they're itching to get back. Today we just delivered a remote session. So our first remote session outside, and I think there was about 20 of them that were joining in. A few of them couldn't make it because of school commitments. So now on Monday we're going to do our second one and make it 6 p.m. so that more people can join in. And we've produced some Stay Healthy with Lions worksheets, which has been encouraging people to stay active, and in a selfish way as well. We want people to stay mentally and physically active, but also we would like them to get, to maintain fitness and skills and be just as good, if not better, when we do return. So I've probably gone off on a tangent there, but going back to the attractiveness of the the attractiveness
really
of
your story, and I think everything you're saying really sort of adds to what the Teesside Lions brand seems to be. And I've been sort of watching your brand a bit more closely now to that side. I think that's had the impact you've wanted it to. Say as a fan, obviously it's raised awareness for your club, and also I've been really impressed about your Make Our Mark hashtag, and maybe tell people a bit more about that, and also how you've been including youngsters to sort of keep interested in basketball with their basketball clinic video send-ins.
Yeah, we have. So Mark coming to Teesside Lions, it was an ambitious move, and I'd been talking to Mark for quite a while. We did discuss the possibilities even during last year of him getting involved, and things had to be right. All the factors had to be aligned for it to be the right move for himself and for us, because it is a big commitment from us as well. But I think that we I think he was. I think he knows me in a loose way. We're not kind of we're not close friends, but we've been involved in basketball and cross paths on a number of occasions, and we have a number of people. I mean, Dijon Fisher is a good friend of mine, and one of Mark's very good friends, and former teammates. And Dijon speaks very highly of us. And another one of our players that joined us last season, Tommy Devitt, is a player that has a close connection with Mark and others as well. So Mark's been aware of us and possibly my abilities more so. But when we started talking about the project as it is now, um, we're looking to do something special, and to do it, we have to do it in the right way. We have to, as Martin says, and Martin's coming from a very successful business background. You have to bring in the right people and put them into the right places. So running a club on volunteers is nice, but it's not reliable. It's not sustainable, and everything. My big thing throughout everything is sustainability. Uh, I think that university partnerships, and we have a very good relationship with Teesside University, which we started a partnership last year. I think that they were struggling to, well, they didn't really have a coach, and they didn't have much direction and guidance. They've been very successful in the past, not to any major level, the likes of Durham or Northumbria, but they were relatively successful, and then they just stumbled into an abyss. And we got involved last year, and we rejuvenated the program. We put attention and time and energy into the students that were not necessarily the first team members. The players that we had there were players by accident. They were just coincidentally studying at Teesside, so we didn't have time to recruit any players. There was no budget for recruitment. It was just a very small program, but we managed, and I think it reflected in the result as well. I think we lost a couple of early games, but then finished really strong. Ended up joint champions, if you like, joint first place of the Division 4, the Tier 4. So it was, there was a really good feel about the positive impact that the Lions Club had on the university, and we're looking to develop that. But I don't want to be. Everything has to be self-sufficient. It has to be sustainable. So Mark's position at Team Northumbria was a classic example of if somebody pulled the plug, everything falls apart. It's like taking away the bottom card on a deck of cards in the tower. You don't. If anybody is developing a club, it has to be multi-layered. There has to be multi revenue streams, and do not become reliant on any one area. The plan we're putting together, and I think one of the questions was asked, are we going to go BBL? Do fans alone make a BBL club? And I think that was in reference to the fact that we were attracting up to 500 people to come and watch the games in Division 3 North, which is a relative. It's low level, but it's a relative. But it's, I think, even more so impressive that the fact that they're coming to watch that level of basketball, not the top level of basketball. But we have to be sustainable in the way that if any one factor was to loosen off, that it would still operate. So if Mark was to leave and become head coach of Toronto Raptors, the club would still operate. If I was to leave, if I was to be run over by a bus, if Martin was to leave, everything was still operate. There has to be systems in place that make the club sustainable and not reliant upon any one source of funding. So we are trying to build the club, or we are building the club in the right direction. We are building the club with the right mentality, with a sustainable footprint, and yeah, the BBL ambitions are genuine. We actually discussed. I mean, I think the other thing you've got to remember is that from Martin's perspective, how can I say this without? I remember, I think it was Joel Moore. I have a friend that was called Dennis Lay. He was a Canadian that used to play for Richmond, and they were involved in National League Division One. But the owner had put £100,000 into the fund and just said, right, I want the championship. He couldn't believe that you could win a championship at the cost of £100,000. It was a relatively small figure in terms of business, in terms of major sports. It's a huge figure to probably most of the people watching this show. But in a similar way, Martin is looking at this as a product, and how do you expand the product? How do we grow this product? And in terms of a business, then the figures are relative. It's all about supply and demand and growth. So we want, the BBL ambitions are genuine. We actually discussed probably about a week before we officially signed Mark, and then we talked again with Mark about the prospect of entering the BBL straight away. And I think Martin's message to me was, I've been thinking, should we just go for it? Should we go big or go home? And we do have a lot of the structure and the fundamentals and the pillars. Everything's in place, albeit in micro form. And we can't do it now. Not for money, not for facility, not for team, not for any of those factors, but for the fact that with the coronavirus, we can't plan. We don't know when the season is going to start. There are too many variables that are out of our control that would make it couldn't happen. We couldn't plan a team not knowing when it's going to start. We couldn't. It's just it can't happen. I mean, everybody is out of the loop, if you like. So even who do we talk to begin this process and have people come and look at the facility? And it's not practical and realistic at this moment for the reasons of COVID that we would enter. And on discussion with Mark and Martin, I think what we all agreed on was we will enter the BBL at the earliest opportunity. And I think we're all looking forward to to enjoying the journey. So I think there's a nice element of the players and the people that have been with us last season have this chance to play. And it's one of the things I did discuss with Mark, because Mark is going to be the head coach now, and ultimately the decisions on who comes and who goes, I want that to be him. He's not, I'm still going to be involved, and I want there to be some continuity in terms of the ethos of the club and the principles of the club that will flow through, not just in terms from myself and Mark into the first team, but also throughout the whole club. But I also want to. We have some good young players. I mean, we've got a young lad called Joshua Thomson, he was 16 years old, and 15 years old, and Charles Copeland at 15 years old, playing National League Division 3 men, not just playing, but doing really well. So I want there to be an opportunity for young players within this club to have an opportunity to progress. And even though, I mean, Joshua's my son, so it's not, when I was looking at him enjoying that experience, it wasn't, the typical dad getting giving favoritism to his son. I was actually looking at this from an overall perspective that all the players younger than Josh are looking at Josh and Charles and thinking, he's only 2 years older than me. If I work really hard, I could play in front of a big crowd for the Lions senior team. And for me, that is the bigger picture. So I want those players to look forward to that. And if we went BBL straight away, we might miss out on that process. So I think that there's a nice element there that the people that have committed to Lions are going to have their chance, and they all will. Every player that played for us last season will have that opportunity, and Mark, wants this as well. It's not to say that they're going to make it. They're going to have to earn it, and there will be people coming in that may be better. So whether their minutes are lower, whether they don't get to play every game, there are factors in play now where they have to impress Mark. But yeah, I think Mark he saw the project. He trusted myself and Martin. Martin, I wanted Martin to come on tonight, and he had some other things going on. His business is 24 hours, so and they're taking care of things like funeral care. They have a lot of clients in the funeral business, and also government support for self-employed people and business support. So this time is critical for them. They are the key workers. So he couldn't make it tonight, but in the future, hopefully we'll get him on with yourself, because I think you'll enjoy his views as well.
Definitely.
I probably still haven't answered that question.
It's all right. It's okay. I'm really enjoying. It's your show to chat about Teesside Lions. It's kind of why I wanted you guys on, because I feel a lot of the things about being surprises, about the move, would have been under a bit of a understood all about the club. And from what I'm hearing from you, what I've learned from my research ahead of this show is there's a lot of good fundamental foundations to build what you say. Hopefully, we'll be a BBL club soon. And I agree with what you're saying with being so many unknowns with the COVID. It does seem right to make that decision, step up now, doesn't mean right in the future. I liked what you said there too, because I think even though I think everyone's aware there will be challenges, but I think there's a lot of opportunity. So I think there'll be a lot of people who maybe who are in basketball or looking for something to do, itching to get out there doing it. And I thought maybe we talk about some more of the challenges you've foreseen, say obviously in problem solving, maybe some of your solutions, some of those problems you might oversee. So I'm sure there's other clubs watching, loving to hear your ideas.
Yeah, so the problems with obviously coronavirus is an issue. I don't know how many hours we have a week on training, but it's probably upwards of 30 or 40, 50 maybe hours facility hire. And quite often we have 2 courts that we hire as well. So we have a lot of sessions going on. Getting those people back together, and I was speaking to Mark about this last night, because it's easy if the government say from the 1st of June, you can have a maximum of 15 players at a session. We could, in theory, start senior training, and we can get going with that. But where we have 90 players in 1 hour on 2 courts, and we split the courts into 6 or 7 courts, that becomes more difficult, because 90 players plus parents, because we have a lot of parents that sit down and watch. They enjoy watching the sessions. Then we have the coaches. And there's a crossover of people from one session to the other. So the next hour, people are coming in and people are leaving. How we manage that in terms of social distancing is going to be the biggest challenge. And then there's the financial element of that, because we charge a membership. So the beauty of our program is that, about 2 years ago, we had players that would pay £4 per session, and some of them were playing 4 or 5 times a week. So it's not bad value. The parents were still happy to pay that, and the players were happy. They were getting good value. They were getting a lot of hours return, and the coaching was good. They were developing. Everything was happy. But when I sat down and looked at it, and I was thinking, well, some of these people are paying £80 a month to play basketball, and it just seemed like it was too much. It was too expensive. So as we were rapidly expanding, we needed to stabilize income. So we put together a monthly membership to stabilize the income and make sure that if there was any dips in attendance, that we were still able to cover the costs. So we set up the membership scheme, and it was a massive success. It was brilliant. Everyone enjoyed it. And exactly what we wanted to happen was people started playing more. And I know that sounds daft, but we want them to play more. The more you play, the better you get. So the value for the sessions were now around about £2 a session in terms of what, if they were to pay per session. So how we reactivate that with a mind on social distancing is going to be our biggest challenge in returning basketball, and it's probably going to mean that the club will lose. I mean, the club's losing money now. It's we're in lockdown. So when we were in positive turnover, and we were doing well, but in positive turnover, that income has stopped because basketball has stopped. How we reactivate that, because we can't say to somebody, right, you're going to pay your £25 or £40 per month, and then you're only going to get 32 minutes of basketball because of social distancing. That doesn't make sense. So we have to spend some time and energy on planning how we re-implement basketball or reintroduce basketball to the mass participation aspect, and it may involve, as we trial today, the remote sessions. So it may have to be a number of physical sessions and a number of remote sessions. But yeah, it's things that we're going to have to think about, and if we are able to make a success of it. I mean, the one thing I would say is that we have very supportive parents and children. That the people have been, they love the club. They don't want to see the club disappear. There have been a number of parents that have said they want to keep on paying their full membership to make sure, because although the club stops, we still have on costs. We still have ongoing commitments that we pay. I mean, even from IT support, and we've commissioned different developments in terms of software, and there's plenty of things. I mean, we lost 3 games that we'd already paid for. We had a presentation evening. Our last presentation evening was attended by 230 people. So the facility hire that we had already paid, that's gone. So there are costs that we've incurred that we may not get back, and it may take us a while to crawl back to where we were. But we have a safety net that has allowed us to do that, so that the club is positive. I mean, even if the club wasn't positive, I'd probably just be a positive person and not want to worry people.
Of course.
Like the introduction of Mark, I want people to be happy and to see the club moving forwards. When we announced there was going to be a major unveiling, or I tried not to repeat the word announce, but when we announced there was going to be a major announcement, I think everybody was expecting that the club was going to go under, that we were going to stop. And then the unveiling of Mark was just a huge boost to especially everybody within the club. But also, I think it's sent a level of positivity around the league. Business, life goes on, and don't stop planning. We're planning for everything. We're planning to go right now, and if plans need to change, then we modify them. But if we get the notice tomorrow that we can start, then we're in a position that we're able to start.
Definitely, and I say Sorry, Karen.
Sorry, I was going to say back to I've done it again, but back to the other bit of advice. We have a couple of programs where we keep engaged with the children. Stay Healthy with Lions is one of our hashtags, and we produce programs. So it's very basic. It's fundamentals, fundamental individual shooting drills, so you can do it at home, do it by yourself. There are coordination exercises programs, and then dribble and finishing and drills. And I think that and these can continue as well. We can produce more of them. And what we want people to do is to stay involved, to stay active, to take on those sessions. We introduced the Make Our Mark, which I was quite proud of.
Yeah, it's
Obviously,
one
the
I like
mark
that one.
being MARC for those
Yeah,
that are not aware of Mark's spelling of his name. Yeah, but it's just you need to have these little USPs and these little gimmicks that make life interesting. I mean, we and I apologize to Ovi Soko because I don't know Ovi, and Mark didn't have anything to do with this, but I've kind of hijacked his name and his brand in the loose connection that he has with Mark and Great Britain basketball. But we can't be precious about. I think the Ovi Soko is a fantastic person, a fantastic product for Great
yeah.
Britain basketball and for basketball in general. I mean, he's obviously a good-looking guy. He's a big, strapping lad. He's just a man of the moment at the moment, and I think he's
And
done a
I'm
lot
glad.
for British basketball.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him because I mentioned to, I can't remember who else I mentioned to now on the previous show, but I think like GB did a really good trick with Ovi. See, there was 2 games at international window. One of them was no Ovi, one of them was Ovi. And you just tell the crowds were more excited. There was more people there, and I really liked how you took advantage of that. I think we've got to use what we've
To be
got,
fair,
and I think
though,
actually Ovi, like, sorry,
I was going to say
yeah,
to be fair though, I think that Ovi is, and you didn't mean this, I didn't take this, but Ovi is more than a
no, no,
gimmick, and he's more than a
yeah,
promotional tool. Like he is a stellar player. He was fantastic. There's one player that I think that I think it was Luke Nelson against Germany, the top scored. Fantastic player. And
mm-hmm.
to be honest, you looked around the squad, and Mark did a really good job of gelling those players. And it wasn't one player that stood out. It was a good team win, and there were some standout players. But I felt that Ovi was brilliant, and you would expect him to have this "I'm better" attitude,
No,
and
yeah,
that didn't come across. It came like he was
no,
very much a part of the team, and the team won. I think Mark did a really good job of coaching that group of players. Um, but the player that I loved in that game was Hessen,
yeah,
and I think he probably had, by his standards, a poor game. But if you watch what he does and his movement off the ball is phenomenal. He doesn't wait for the ball to then make something happen. He's always active. And when I watch the Globetrotters, it's difficult to watch because it is entertainment and not basketball. You think it's just like a little bit insulting. And when I watch the Great Britain game, you kind of overanalyze. It's that same thing when you play and you coach. It's impossible to give 100% when you do both. Something has to give on either side. So if I was ever to play when I'm coaching, I'd find myself just stood in the key watching. And then somebody like, James, where's your defense? I mean, I'm watching the game as a coach and not as a player. And when I was
yeah,
watching that Great Britain game, I was watching all these different players and the way they were playing. And Hessen was brilliant at just his movement and just making crucial baskets, not through something he created himself, but just picking up those loose pieces. So I was really impressed with that. But going back to Ovi, I think that Ovi is a phenomenal player, and I think Mark said it recently that he was chuffed for Ovi because he showed in the last window what level of a player he really is, and it would be very easy for people to take advantage of him and play him just because he was the celebrity. But he didn't come across as the celebrity in that game. He came across as
no,
a top level player in his own right on the back of his contribution in the game, which was really good. But I think that we took advantage a little bit, and I do apologise to Ovi because we didn't even speak to him about this, and I think we're a very small club that would be insignificant to him, um, and it really was. It didn't warrant opening up a channel, but the loose connection we had was, is Mark going to bring Ovi to Teesside? And obviously that's not going to happen. And Mark, I think it was obviously light-hearted, and Mark picked up on it. He said, that obviously we're a few years away from that caliber of a player at Teesside, and it was just a nice little fun story to to generate interest, because the people that we had people comment on that story in that article that would not have commented on a regular Teesside Lions basketball article. So to try and, this sounds wrong, but to try and lure those people in, piggybacking something that is in a way a positive move, I don't think anybody should. We should be doing that more often. I think that people like the Luoldengs and the Pops and now Ovi Soko, they have a I don't want to say responsibility, because it's a personal thing, but they have some powerful attributes at their disposal that can really propel basketball in general to a different level, and ultimately in an altruistic mentality. You would like to think that if they were to help basketball get bigger, it would in turn, have benefits for them.
Definitely, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's kind of what I was alluding to. Obviously, firstly, Ovi is a great person. He's obviously a good, honest brand to get him to that status. I like what you're saying. So I don't see anything wrong in sort of piggybacking. That's kind of what I meant with GB, to piggyback a little bit, because it opened a whole massive audience to actually into basketball. And even if it's just 10 seconds there, capture on basketball, to me, I think that's really good marketing and really good ways. And
they put a big spotlight on GB, on basketball in general, and it was very positive.
Definitely. And like I say, I'm sure Ovi saw it what it was. So I thought it was quite light-hearted. I think sometimes when we do stuff that's a bit out of the box, we worry. And I think you said it yourself, there's a lack of content out there. And I it's sometimes the more innocuous or something a bit different, it does get people's attention. And I think you guys have shown what marketing's done to promote your brand. And I really hope other clubs are listening. Not to say no one sets out making bad mistakes, but I think marketing for basketball is really powerful and a really good tool to grow the game. And I also glad you mentioned the Lil Danes and Pop Mensa. And I do agree. I think they could be used more to promote the game. I'm not sure how they be used. I'm not sure. Did you watch any of the Pop Mensa and Lil Dane Instagram videos?
I didn't. I mean, I have a list of things that I'm supposed to do or that are of interest to me that I just don't get the chance to do. And one of the parents had an idea of doing these Zoom sessions for the kids. I was like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. But it's another thing. It's not just switch on and do it. You've got to plan it. You've got to set the equipment up. Is the equipment running properly? You've got to promote it. You've got to. There's a lot of things that need doing to make all these things happen. Every article you see on our website and every social media feed you see, there's a backtrack of procedures that are in place. To put it in. I mean, you have to get the image, you have to put together the article, you have to put together the snippet, you have to make it interesting. It's massive. So it does take up a lot of my time, and those elements of like you say, thinking outside the box and just creating something that is interesting outside of a basketball sphere is very important. I mean, one of the elements that we found that was a talking point from bringing Mark in was I actually sacked myself. And I think that was something that people were like, sacked himself. Like, it just created an interesting topic to the story. And although it's not as heavy as sacking myself, I've replaced myself with Mark. And that situation is in itself quite a, I'm how do we manage that? Because I'm passionate about basketball. I'm passionate about the team. I want the team to get to develop. I've been the head coach of the club for since 2007. I've been coaching basketball since, I don't know, to 2000, 1996, 97, a long time. So I mean, your viewers might not recognize, but I'm 40 years old, and I'm well aware that I look about 60. And it is because of the number of roles that I'm taking on. Well, it might be the light, but it's I feel about 70, if it makes
I
that
don't
feel
think the
better.
light for me.
So I bringing in Mark, and there was no other way. I've had coaches come in and help out in the past, and I've suggested scenarios where, because I'm not precious about the role as such. I think there does need to be a one voice. There does need to be a slight hierarchy, but I'm quite laid back in that if we had three people involved, I don't need to be listed as the head coach. I'm quite happy for it to be a coaching trio. Um, in this circumstance, if you bring in Great Britain coach Mark Stoutel, that's not a coaching trio, that's not a coaching duo. It's, I have to step back there because this person has proven his ability not just at this level. I mean, he's been part of a coaching team that has got a 7-1 record in the European qualifying games. That's fantastic. And before that, his under-20 record in promoting the team and then reaching their highest ever finish, and then his, the three Coach of the Year awards in the NBL, the 5 championships he's won at Team Northumbria. When you consider that level of player, of coach, it's an easy decision that whether I like it or not, he has to be the head coach. He has to have his own stamp and his own authority on the team. My role, we've not decided yet. I'm going to still be involved in some capacity. It might be in a lesser capacity in terms of the coaching. Whether I'm involved in an away or a home game on the bench, I don't know. I think that it's important to have some level of continuity. I'm looking forward to learning from Mark. So I think I'm 5 years older than Mark, but it doesn't mean that you don't learn from somebody younger than you.
Yeah.
I think you have to accept that in life there are people more skilled and better at it than you. What was it? Was it Steve Jobs that said, "I don't hire people to tell them what to do. I hire people to tell me what to do." And Mark is a typical example of that statement, of that philosophy. You bring Mark in, he is an attraction to players. He is going to help us develop what I believe is already a strong foundation of a club. And I'm more than happy now. I think it gives me, Martin coming on last year has helped incredibly off the court. So it's given me so much more time to dedicate to other areas. And where I was always a jack of all trades and a king of none as such, I can now start. We have a king in Martin. I'm not going to say we have a queen in. We have another king in. We have another king in Mark, and I'll settle for the queen.
3 wise kings, I think you should coin it out.
let's go with that. That sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
No forking though.
3 wise yeah. I say for me, one of the highlights of this obviously is having some players going down the podcast route, and it's great having more basketball content out there. And you mentioned the likes of Lord Den, Pot Spencer, and I was wondering what in this current day, what do you think is like the best role for players to do post trade? So I think it's really great to have them inside the game rather than outside the game. Because I think you say you didn't watch it. I watched the Lord Den and Pot Spencer conversations, and they were great, but I thought they brought out the worst in people as well as the best people. It wasn't maybe the best for them to mention 1 or 2 things they were saying, and they're obviously very talented guys, very frustrating. And I to see what opportunity do you think should be out there really for players to be doing when they finish their career. Because I think it's not so much a responsibility, but obviously they've got a lot of skills they can pass on to the next generation. I was wondering your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean the hardest part of being in front of a camera or on a radio or on a spotlight is to stay composed and stay neutral and stay diplomatic. So I know that they were damning in terms of British basketball and where it's heading. And I suppose that there are elements that are in need of improvement. And I think the authorities would agree with that. I think it was Pops that had offered to become or to join the board for British basketball or Basketball England,
Yeah.
And that was rejected. That it doesn't seem like it would seem like an obvious choice if this person wanted to join, that you would want him to be there. So I don't know the decisions behind it. I'd like to think that there were some justifiable decisions there, but when you have players of that stature, let's just say, let's take away the playing side, because players have a shelf life. So, for example, the football team around here is Middlesbrough Football Club, and I like to follow them. And they used to have, every time they're not doing well, you've got the fans calling for the sacking and who's going to be the next manager. And they call for, the call is always, there's a strong call for Juninho. I don't know whether you remember a player called Juninho, but a little Brazilian.
Yeah,
And
I
he
remember
was
Ravanelli and all
what a
that.
player.
That was a lovely
Yeah.
generation of Middlesbrough players.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But if you put Juninho as the manager now of Middlesbrough, who cares? He was a great player, but that was 20 years ago. If he's trying to attract players now, remember the attitude and possibly arrogance of young players coming up now. Who's Juninho? Who's Juninho?
Yeah.
He's not the name that he was. So I think that you've got to. I'm not even sure where I was going with that, but you've got to have. I think it's just a similar thing. A great basketball player doesn't necessarily make a great position for the development of basketball. Yeah. But in terms, Pops is still relatively current. He's not 20 years ago. He's still current in his stature and his stance, and I don't know what the decision was or the mentality was behind not having him involved, but you find a way. You should find a way, because the impact he can have, I think, is even just from a marketing and a popularity perspective. If he's got ideas, listen to them. You don't have to do them, but at least listen to them. I say to every child that we have coming through our club that when there's a new coach, they might be telling you the wrong things, but listen to what they're saying. You don't have to do what they say. You don't have to change your shot, but listen to what they say and take on board all of their advice. Just be respectful. And I think you had, the worst thing, the negative part is if you don't justify why you didn't bring them in, or if you if something has gone wrong, that could turn quite quickly into a negative, which is what happened, which is what has happened now. But I would like to think that there was reasons behind Basketball England not being able to do it, and funding was possibly one of them. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have the money to bring him on and give him a position. I don't know. I would have liked to have. I would have liked to have seen someone like his stature involved. And when you think about the impact, when you think about the impact of Luol Deng and what he's having in.
I enjoy hearing
so
what
think about the impact.
Carry on. Yep.
Brilliant, thanks. When you think about the impact that Luol Deng had in Sudan and also in America, the captain. We're all watching The Last Dance at the moment, and we're kind of marveling at his previous captain in Michael Jordan, how good he was. And Luol Deng was a British player, an adopted British player, and he was the captain, and a legitimate captain of the Chicago Bulls. And it's unbelievable. And we've had a few players. We've had Ben Gordon, we've had John Amici, and John Amici, to his credit, has had a credible season, credible career as an NBA basketball player. But in terms of a legitimate superstar and a face of a franchise, really, Luol Deng was massive, and I don't think we used him enough. I don't think he went under the radar on so many occasions, and I think this is why maybe I'm so keen on Ovi Sokol playing a big role for British basketball now, possibly because of the celebrity status. He might have I mean, Luol Deng. I don't know him personally, but I do know his brother. I don't know if you know, but Deng Deng. So Deng Deng used to play at Plymouth, and he came up to Teesside for a while. So we got quite close while he was up here. And just a very genuine and trustworthy and modest person. And at the time, Deng Deng was the oldest brother, and then you had a Zhu Deng and you had Luol Deng, and Luol wasn't really on the scene at the time when I got close to Deng Deng. But then Luol's exploded. But you kind of read these articles where he'll only have one car, and people are asking, well, why don't you have a Ferrari or this or that? He said, well, I can only drive one car, and it's just the modesty in him is fantastic, and you look at the effect he's had on basketball and the country really in Sudan, and you're thinking we seem to have missed an opportunity there, and let's hope we don't miss that same opportunity with the likes of not only Ovi though. I mean, Ovi is the celebrity, but I think that there's so many good players and good role models in that Great Britain team.
Definitely, I didn't mean to trip you up in the decision making on the beach. That's above our heads, obviously. Interviews and generally someone doesn't get the role. That's part of life. It was more to touch upon what we say about Ovi, because I do think I'm a great believer. We all make mistakes, but it's how we learn from it. And I think everyone would agree, but those players have some role that they could use to promote basketball. And I think one of the best things that they can learn from is, like you say, Ovi, is that even though such a modest star, consummate professional, but the effect he had from that second game, and I keep leaning on that, because I really think even though we just had maybe them 10 or 15 seconds of Love Island interest from it, it's still better than none. And I really hope the guys at Basketball England or Powers Above look into it. I'm glad you feel the same, but these players, they have some worth. And I think a lot of backstabbing against might be stopped if we find, even at club level, national level, to find a way of having these guys, like you say, you don't need to listen to them, but listen to them, sorry, but obviously you guys make decisions on what to say. Might have some good ideas, might have some bad ideas, but I do feel it would make a positive atmosphere. I think this, and maybe even grow the game further. So it's glad to hear that you do see that they have not value, but also they add to it. So I think it makes it a bit more of a legacy for their careers, and also I think having those people there who have had that great career to really inspire the next generation. So I say, sorry, The Last Dance, and I say lots of people as a community all glued to that, and that's not something new. It's just what's been. So I really hope next season they'll think, okay, what's been in British basketball? Ovi Sokol, like you said, and there's many, many more, and they find a way of utilising that. I'm not sure if you've seen, but I've really enjoyed the Basketball England history page, and I really hope they do some of that. For me, I've only got to basketball sort of 4 years ago, so anything past Luol Deng is new listening for me. So it's been really good to enrich, and I think it diversifies our passion, also makes it more passion, because I think for me, like yourself, my background is football, and I think when I follow Swindon as well, they're a small team in Wiltshire, but to follow a third tier football club, it's quite easy to find stuff out, and I think that's part of the reason why maybe football's more on the agenda, because it's pushed. And I think if basketball's pushed a bit more, you push people like Ovi Sokol, you push the Luol Dengs out there, I think you capture more of an audience. I really hope that stays, and it's great to hear your thoughts on that from a marketing perspective too. And kind of thought I had when you mentioned Ovi Sokol, I think reason he's so good is because it's quite an honest brand. And off camera before the show, we were talking about the blue shirt. I thought maybe you'd talk a bit about the inside back because that has a really good message that reinforces that you're quite an honest club, honest message for the next generation.
Yeah. Well, this is one of our training reversibles. I think you can see it. This is the white side, and then we also have the blue side. But I won't bother showing you the blue. I'll let people investigate and find it themselves.
On the website, people want to.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of on the back of this shirt, we have the lion's head, and then we also have some of our it's principles of what we try to teach the children in the club. So we have this on their training vests to encourage them to abide by it. So some of them, I mean, we have earn your place at training and your minutes in the game. And this one's a really one that I suppose I've implemented. I don't believe in equal opportunities basketball or equal opportunities sport. I think that you have to earn your place at training. You have to earn your minutes in the game. It's what makes people work hard. It's what makes people improve. And you are in control of that. And there is no better example of this than Michael Jordan being cut from his high school basketball team and going home in tears, and his mum turning around, not looking to blame the coach, not looking to blame somebody else, but saying to him, if you want it, you're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to get better. Now, if I can, again, go off on another tangent, I'll hold this so that I know I have to go back to it. But this is a long story, so I'm just going to take a sip.
It's very insightful and great to hear from you. Another good appearance from Mugs there as well.
Has he put the price on yet?
No.
Available at tsidelions.com. Well, anyway, so
next time you see me having one.
Yes, I'll send it through. So 2 years ago, we entered our under-14s into the National League. I knew it was going to be a tough season, and even for myself, as a coach, I've had so many losses as a coach, and you can't look at this, especially like what are your aims for what you are trying to get out of this team. If you're trying to get a championship, maybe that's not going to happen. If that's not going to happen, would you coach them or not? And I took a decision that we would enter the team into the league. It was their first taste of competitive basketball. So they had not played any league basketball before. They were the majority of our children, the vast majority, 99% of them, are new to the sport, and they come to us through seeing us on Facebook or social media or website or through schools. So they don't come to us as basketball players. They come to us as chubby, spotty, little teenagers and younger. They're just not athletes. They're not sports people. And the thing that I'm most proud of is the number of players that we've developed from nothing that other people might have just said, no, sorry, you're not for us. Our mentality is an all-encompassing club. We welcome everybody, regardless of ability, regardless of age. We have players from as young as 4 and as old as 50. And we put this team into the league, and I had to talk to the parents and talk to the children just to let them know expectations. And the expectations, we were probably going to lose every game. We lost all but 2 games, and it was difficult for them to accept this. And my advice to any team in this situation, because there are lots, and the problem you have with basketball is that players will generally be attracted to other clubs and bigger clubs, so they will have a monopoly on the better players, which means that the other teams are not very good. That doesn't help anybody, because it's crushing for the teams that are getting beat by a significant amount, but it's also, where's the competition for those other teams? Like, what's the point of playing if you're beating teams by 100 points? If you have a better spread of players, and I wouldn't turn anybody away. If people want to come play for us, brilliant. But we don't We don't actively go out and seek players from other clubs because we have so many. And in this situation, we entered them into the under-14 league, and we were getting beat by 90 points, 80 points, nearly 100 points. Just demoralising. It was very hard for me to take as a coach, because you're there and with the player inside you is wanting to get on the court and help them out. So it was very, very difficult to see that happen. The challenge was for them to keep going and develop. We entered and we knew that we would develop, and that was the whole reason. The parents found it difficult. Well, some of them found it very difficult, but we had to reiterate the goal. For anybody that is in this situation, my advice is set achievable goals within the game. So our goals in some games were we wanted to score 30 points and keep the other team below 80. And over the course of the season, if we were able to reduce those goals, we were getting closer and closer to being a competing team as opposed to a team just getting thrashed. And because we had achievable goals within the game, if we achieved the offensive target, that was a result. If we achieved the defensive target, that was a result. If we achieved both, it almost felt like a win. So you have to accept, what situation, what point of your development you were at, and the progression. And we had good feedback from clubs that we went and played against. We did get thrashed. We had in the under 14, so year nines, we had 4 year sixes, and we were a small young team, but we were talented. We just didn't have the experience, didn't have the game experience, but we developed over the course of the season to the level and to the extent that this season just finished, we were challenging for the title, the same group of players, and these guys, we came third, possibly. We had the Sheffield Sharks team to play again, so possibly could have picked. I don't think we could have actually, because the other team beat us twice. But we were competing, and the feedback from the teams was very, very positive. So it was a lovely way. It was lovely to see the development of those young players. And my link for that story was the fact that they developed from a non-equal opportunity system. If they were good enough, they got to play. If they earned it, they got to play. I had players last year that were playing a minute, maybe it's 2 minutes, traveling for 2 hours. They just weren't ready. And I remember talking to one of the parents and saying, the mum had said to me, "Oh, James, I really appreciate it. He loves his basketball. He's only been playing 6 months, but he said, I'm so happy you brought him into the team. He just loves it. I know he's rubbish, but he loves it." And I replied, I said, "Listen, he is going to be good. Like he's really going to be good."
Yeah.
And this year, he was the best player. But he was one of the players that was traveling and getting a minute or two. And those players now, there's a few of them where they're now the most dominant players this year. And I feel that a significant amount of that was the fact that they didn't get a share of minutes. And that is the system. I don't like the system where it is you have to put a rota together, because I'm not coaching anymore now. I only coach in the fourth quarter. In the first 3 quarters, my whole pre-game is about trying to work out the mathematical equation of which player should play in which situation, so that they all get equal share. I mean, it's absolute garbage. I don't want a player coming to me knowing that he's going to get 20 minutes, so he doesn't have to work hard. I want a player coming to me knowing that if he wants more than a minute, he's going to have to prove himself. So I hope that Basketball England do change that rule, because basketball isn't equal opportunities. You have to earn it. So then we only ever run out of time, and I love that. And I think it was a Michael Jordan quote. I've never lost a game. I've only ever run out of time. So yeah, sorry, I missed the first bit out. We never lose a game. We only ever run out of time. So lions do not concern themselves with sheep. Um, we concentrate and focus on ourselves. There are competitors around, there are other teams around. We just ring fence what we have, we develop it, we try to make it a positive environment for people to be involved in, for people to want to come and play. Yeah, we don't get involved in the politics and the jealousy and the bitterness that is prevalent in all sports, really.
Oh, you definitely.
And that's what we want from our players and parents and fans as well. We just want to be the bigger and better people.
I think that's a message.
So
I think that's a message I've learned myself this year. Sort of control what you can control. And I think I liked how you linked sort of a marketing idea, having those messages in, and it's probably supported the basketball. So I was going to ask, do you since you sort of developed the marketing brand, have you noticed the difference on the basketball side? Are you like you said, maybe some bigger clubs poach your players, but imagine if a player's happy playing and there's definitely stuff there, maybe you see more retention of your players.
Yeah, we had a situation where there was a few players that were encouraged to move away, and this is a few years ago, and they left, and I think out of the 4 or 5 that left, 4 of them stopped playing. 1 or 2 tried to come back, and I don't have a problem. I don't want to. You don't want to promote a philosophy that you're welcome to leave us and come back if you want, because if that happens, there may not be a club to come back to if everybody leaves.
Yeah.
So you're hoping that people buy into your philosophy and want to be here. What you don't want is people in the kids' ears trying to make them go elsewhere. And if somebody doesn't like what we're doing, there's no hard feelings. We have more than enough children and more than enough people that are going to step in and fill their boots. So we're not worried about people leaving now as such, because we are quite big in that field. We have found over time that that's less and less people have gone, and I think that we're now in a fairly strong position in terms of the club, especially when young players are seeing the likes of Josh and Charles that are playing as 15-year-olds in front of 500 people, and it's like, wow, this is where we want to be. This is where we can achieve the dreams. And not only that, but when you see the level of development the players are making under our club, it's incredible. The one player that just started, and within the space of probably 12, 13, 14 months, this player was possibly the best player in the under-14 league. And you think, yes, it's a conference level, but when you look at and that's not just him. There's a lot of the players that have progressed to a fantastic level and still going forwards. So I'd like to think that we've proven ourselves, in a way that people would want to be here. We haven't lost many people recently, and with the announcement of Mark getting involved, I mean, I think everybody would want to play here. I would hope that everybody would want to try. I would hope that everybody would want to try and impress the Great Britain coach, whether it be the interim or whether it be the assistant coach, because they might get that chance to play for Great Britain. And it's just when we're talking about those thinking outside the box and those elements of what you need to either sell a story or just make that story more creative. That is the situation now our players have, is that they are potentially impressing the player, the coach that makes decisions on who plays for the national team. So I think that it's a wonderful opportunity for players at our club to be excited about.
Definitely. And it seems like you guys do some great work. And the reason I asked that is so the opposite, I think a few months ago before all the panic started, there was this one kid who was like, really excited to announce that he was going to Loughborough because obviously he got the setup there. He got progression from Charmwood, Loughborough to Leicester Riders. There was a little bit of confusion, and again, I related sort of confusion, but people said had when you announced Martin. I think when you have a brand either like yourself or like Leicester, it's exciting to say we're sort of in a bubble with basketball. We have this obsession with Americanism, but sometimes when you get too close, it's not great. So for this kid to announce, oh, really proud to go to Loughborough, it shows like how your brand's doing well, but Leicester doing well, but it's a great opportunity. You've got progression there to play in BBL. You always got progression playing a great universal great brand, do stuff outside the box. And then people are surprised because maybe that's not the state everywhere, but it's great to see clubs like yourself, Leicester doing really well in terms of making a name for your club and also the wider community. And like I say, I'm really happy, really great having you on the show. It's really great, and love hearing all things like T-side lines and learn a bit more. If you had to pick, say, one moment last year that's been a highlight, what would you say has been a defining moment in the recent history of T-side?
Well, aside of Mark, I think
of course
the highlights. I mean, I've mentioned the under-14s progression, and that was very rewarding. I mean, it was really rewarding. It was fantastic, and the comments from other people. But the highlight, one highlight, I would say, was probably the Newcastle Eagles under-23 game. We had our problem this season was that off the court we were a BBL outfit. So we had the arena, we had the fans, we had all the razzmatazz, we had the music, the sound effects. We had a good team, we had strong branding, we looked good. You know, there was when you buy a ticket to come and watch a Lions game, you download the ticket. So it's an official ticket, and when you come to the game, it gets scanned on a computer and you gain entry. Everything's professional. And I think the downfall to that was that we were the big scalp. So that every team that came to play us, we were like the big pretenders, if you like. So everyone was looking at knocking us down a peg or two. So we had a topsy-turvy season. On paper, our squad was good enough to beat anyone on our day. And in pre-season, we were thinking, everyone was enjoying pre-season. We started earlier than anybody else, and we were really looking forward to doing well. And it'll bite us on the backside, but we fancied ourselves for champions. We knew Lancashire would be good, but we fancied ourselves. We were confident that we were going to do well, and it didn't work out that way. Partly, I think, because we were the cup final for a lot of teams, and partly we had a lot of injuries, and we were in most of the games we were just that one extra player away from doing quite well, and I think from winning those games. And there was the game at Lancashire, they blew us away, and Newcastle away, they blew us away. So it was a topsy-turvy season, but the game and the highlight of the season was the home game against Newcastle Eagles under-23 side. And for this season, because I think they were champions the previous season. So I don't know what their overall unbeaten run was, but in this season, they were 13 games unbeaten. And the opportunity was for us to beat the unbeaten. And not only did we do that in front of the biggest crowd of the season, we had over 500 people at that game. Not only did we beat them convincingly, but it was, we were comfortable the whole way through. There was an energy about us. We didn't have the full squad. We were actually missing our two top scorers in Joe Fitzpatrick, who has been an incredible player, and Joe Lister. The two top scorers of the team weren't there. And then Patrick Nagbo, who is a 6'9", athletic powerhouse, used to play at Virginia Tech. He got ejected. He'd only played 18 minutes. and he got ejected in the game, but it didn't affect us, and we just kept on going. And I think it was a proud moment for me as a coach that we were able to play to that level and play so well against an unbeaten team and the current leaders. And that was, after beating Calderdale Explorers, who at the time were league leaders in their own right. So we had two really good wins there. And then we were looking to follow that up with the Myerscough game, and that got cancelled. And then obviously we had the COVID, and just things fell away again. So in terms of the season, it was good, but the highlight I think was definitely the home win and ending the unbeaten run of the Newcastle Eagles.
Definitely. And interesting you mentioned about being a scout, and I wonder whether next year, with having Mark at the helm, whether teams will view as scout again. And I wonder what advice you think Mark would have given the players to counter that. Because obviously that comes a bit of a different dynamic with coaching. If you're perceived as this scout, the team wants to play and probably playing 110%. How would you prefer a player to deal with that on a weekly basis? To imagine somebody trying to step up for a lot of your guys.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think for the majority of them, they experienced it last year. We had teams coming to us and saying, really looking forward to coming to the game. I've heard it's a really big setup. Heard you've got good crowds. Saw you on YouTube. There's teams. We had one coach that was scouting one of our games, and he'd put a picture of himself up on social media, and he was scouting our game, watching the video, and the video looked like an impressive event. That last year, and we kicked in after Christmas. It took us a while to get there, but we kicked in after Christmas, and again, it was the absence of one or two key players at any one game that made the difference. So I don't think it's player personality or mentality that will be the issue this year. I think we need to patch the leaky areas that we identified from last year, and that is that we can't be reliant upon what started out as a committed and strong in terms of depth squad. It didn't end up that way, so we need to really think about the level of commitment from some players, and we really need to think about adding to the squad, which myself and Mark have already discussed in detail. We already have targets, and we already have positive conversations with new players coming in. So adding Mark to the equation means that Teesside Lions is an attractive option for players to come without Mark. When you look at the facility, when you look at players want to play on a big stage, and in Division 4, if you get the opportunity to play in front of 500 people in a 1,200-seat arena where it's professionally branded, the whole package is a very attractive one. So I have no doubt that with or without Mark, we were going to attract a new group of players to add to the ones we have that would challenge in this division. I have no doubt about that. The key is that, and with Mark's addition, we will attract more. So his name will attract more, and they will be more committed. They will be itching, I think, to play and prove themselves. And that will also have a knock-on effect with the players that are currently here. There's going to be a buzz about the team, and the players that we now have, they know they have to get better and be ready for when the season or pre-season is going to start. So everybody has to up their game. And it's the same as I see the same pattern as the last time I did this. In 2010. The first year was almost an establishing season. We opened the eyes of the teams that came and saw us. Our branding was very good. Our presence in terms of marketing, social media, website was very good. We were able to attract a fantastic player in Papis Sam, who was an Italian, and he turned down Worcester Wolves in the BBL to stay with us. And I remember him saying that he signed the contract with me, and he played a couple of games for us in pre-season, and he kind of just was like a wow player, BBL standard. And the Worcester Wolves then contacted him and said, "Look, we're interested." And his response to them was that he's going to stay with Teesside Lions because when he sent out the email, I was the only club that showed him a response and took an interest. So he stayed loyal to us for that season. And we attracted an American called Mike Konanek, and there's other players as well that came to us. So I've no doubt that we've put ourselves on the map in terms of what we did last season. Adding Mark, we're just putting a huge spotlight onto the club, and I'm sure that there's players up and down the country that would be, well, you've said yourself, that are now interested in what Teesside Lions are about, what they're doing, possibly going to follow our results. And I'm sure there's players that would be interested in coming to play for Teesside Lions. So I think Mark's job is now just to enjoy the number of players, and just I think we'll be okay. But yeah, you're right. There's going to be an element of people wanting us to fail. There's going to be an element of people wanting to raise their game because we are the big scalp. But the challenge is there for us to counter that.
Definitely, and I say I like what you mentioned about your tickets. I was really impressed by how you branded your season. They look really good, and I hope people take up on that. To say it's important to support the club during the off season, and I feel like this video we've covered quite a lot of points. I feel we covered, but there is something behind the brand as well. Just I think a lot of people just saw the headline and have questions. So I think we've covered that. I think everyone can see there's a brand, there's the infrastructure, it's definitely the passion. You definitely got the passion for a game, and no one to say otherwise, I don't think. And there's obviously a lot of things going in your favour, and it sounds a really exciting time to be a Teesside Lions fan, player, volunteer, anyone involved in the club. So it's really great to have you on, learn a bit more about the club. I've really enjoyed listening more, and I'll definitely have you back on the den if you want to come back on.
Anytime, thank you.
While I've got you here, you're welcome. I say it's a really great chatting, great conversation. I've learned quite a lot about your club, even though I did a little bit of research before. I thought, while you're here, is there any sort of merchandise you got planned for next year, or something you got planned off the court? Maybe you want to sort of tease and maybe say a bit more about why you're on here today, sort of give fans an idea what to expect come next season.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the opportunity. I don't want to hijack the show and sell merchandise, although it is available in all good stores across the UK. And if you can't find them there, www.teessidelions.com. But no, I'm joking. The thing I would say is just we would welcome anybody, whether it's from within the area that wants to get involved in basketball in a participation sense, whether it's people that want to come and watch the Teesside Lions and enjoy, an afternoon of family-orientated entertainment. We feel we have all the ingredients there to make it an enjoyable experience, and it's a cost-effective experience at that. For people around the country, I think just enjoy it. I mean, we don't want to encourage any animosity. We're not looking to, we aren't the Chelsea. Even Martin will say himself. Martin and myself, we're not going to bankroll the club. We're not going to buy our way into the BBL. What we are looking to do is implement positive business mentalities and procedures into expanding this as a product, so that we are financially viable, and we are a financially viable running club at the moment, and we want to grow this into being a sustainable and competing club in whatever league we are going to be in. And the ambition is, within the earliest opportunity, to be BBL. If we get to the BBL, we don't want to be the whipping boys of the BBL. So there is a there's a collective effort and agreement that we need to do everything we can in the right way to make sure that the club is secure, both in terms of playing and financially, before we progress. But yeah, we're in a good position, and I think that what we would like is that if anybody has an interest in us and they want to follow our progress and they enjoy what they see, or at least respect the progression and the climb, that we can, look favourably upon us, and possibly if anybody does need advice or support in how we've done our things, we'd be happy to help out with them.
Definitely, and I wasn't saying that you guys like a Chelsea. It was really good to have you on stage.
No.
You definitely, the message you come across definitely of one, try to do things right, do things sustainably, and build from the ground up. And I think it shows the pros of doing that approach. And I say hats off to you. And I wish you all the success for next season, and good luck. And thanks for coming on. I'm sure we'll chat again in the near future. Thanks for coming on, and take care.
Thank you very much. I've just noticed that we started this call in the morning when it was nice and sunny, and it's the sun's now gone down. So thank you for having me on so long. I do know that I can talk, and hopefully we haven't gone over your quota. But whenever you want us back, and if I can drag Martin back as well, I think you'd enjoy hearing what Martin has to say as well, because he's coming from the business perspective really. My passion is basketball, and his passion is to basketball is relatively embryonic at this stage. So I think he'd give him some good perspective, and maybe he's encouraged a few other business people around the country to get involved in local sports and local basketball.
Definitely, that's definitely the approach I wanted to show, to sort of develop, understand. So I chat to Rupert off air quite a lot, and it's for us really important to get that message across. We've had refs on the show, we've had coaches, players. And I say the benefits to get more small business involved in the basketball is only a positive thing in my opinion. So it'd be great to have him on the show, talk about his experience, maybe it might inspire others to do the same. I say it. I myself don't really chat for ages, that's fine. More than happy to talk basketball. That's why I do what I do. I love the game and love hearing and learn more about it. And I say, if we were to go a bit later, I must invest in some spotlights. I just see I'm slowly descending into darkness. But thanks for coming on. We'll catch up soon. Okay, take care, and goodbye from myself. And goodbye. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye bye.